A college girl on her way to an exam goes missing, never to be seen again. Could she have had a major life change that led her on a trip to New York City? Or could she have been a girl who faked her own death? Or perhaps she was murdered by a quite famous store owner? Let's discuss. Welcome to Peculiar Occurrences. I am your host, Lilith Nova. Lynne Kathryn Schulze was born February 9th, 1954. Not much has been made public about this long-time missing person. This is actually one of the first ones I've investigated that didn't even have a wiki page associated with it. But what is known is that in 1971 she was a student at Middlebury College in Middlebury, Vermont, and that she grew up in Simsbury, Connecticut. She was an outdoors person and spent much of her time exploring and hiking out in the wilderness of New England. She often hitchhiked, but always returned home. And she was very close to her family, and it was very out of character of her to not be in touch with them. On December 10th, 1971, at 7:45 a.m., Lynne's roommate left the room while Lynne was still fast asleep. At 12:45, Lynne was seen in her dorm room by a friend that had an exam with her that day at 1 o'clock. She had tried to engage her about the exam, but said that Lynne seemed very distracted and distant. She had asked her if she wanted to walk together to the exam, and as they started to leave, Lynne complained that she didn't have her favorite pen. The friend insisted that she could just borrow a pen from her, but Lynne insisted that she had to go back to the dorm and pick up her favorite pen. Well, 1 o'clock p.m. rolled around and the friend was in the class taking their exam when they realized that Lynne never showed up. At 2:15 p.m., Lynne was seen standing on Court Street by another fellow student, right across from the bus stop and the local food store. She was wearing a navy blue pullover sweater, a brown nylon ski parka, with blue jeans and hiking boots. She also had very light brown hair and blue eyes. And the friend said that it was sparkling in the sunlight, and unfortunately, this was the last time that friend had ever seen her again. While staying near the bus stop, apparently Lynne had asked some questions about New York, so it was speculated that perhaps she had ran off to New York, though she left behind her ID, her checkbook, everything of a personal nature. She may have only had about $30 on her person at her time of disappearance. Campus guards were notified to her disappearance about 2 days after she had disappeared. But her parents were not notified for 1 full week. Lynne had shuffled around with the idea of faking her own death and starting a whole new life with friends there on campus. And in letters that she sent back home to family, she had expressed being somewhat depressed and homesick and a small desire to leave school. However, she never indicated that she had any sort of plans of dropping out of school before the autumn was up. She had even enrolled for the next semester and gotten her classes, so there was absolutely no indication of why she would leave. There were several possible sightings of Lynne after her disappearance, but none of them were confirmed. There were several confessions made, though nothing ever came of any of it, and all of them were proven to be false. Little evidence is available to what had happened to her. But Lynne's disappearance is considered suspicious, and her family believe that she died shortly after she disappeared. In 2015, the police announced that they were looking into Robert Durst. Him and his family owned the store All Good Things, the health food store that had been next to the bus stop, where she had gone that day to buy some raisins and was seen eating them at the bus stop. Kathleen Durst, Robert Durst's first wife, disappeared from New York City in 1982. And Robert is considered the prime suspect in her case, but he has never faced any sort of charges regarding it. He was also being looked at for 2 other girls' disappearances in the state of California in the year of 1997. Roberts was also charged with the 1991 Texas homicide of Morris Black. He claimed that he murdered Black in self-defense and was acquitted in 2003. In 2015, he was charged with murder in the 2000 shooting death of Susan Berman. In 2012, the police got a tip that Durst had owned a food store in Middlebury at the time of Lynne's disappearance, and that he may have even been in town on the day of Lynne's disappearance. And while Durst isn't an official suspect in Lynne's case, the police are looking for a possible link. They believe, though, that he is the most likely suspect, though he has never taken on any responsibility for the disappearance of Lynne. He has, though, been investigated for the disappearances of many college-age girls from different areas that he has lived in throughout his entire life. And many of these cases match Lynne's case to a T. Unfortunately, both of Lynne's parents died in the 1990s, though Lynne still has a sister that hopes to resolve this case and find out exactly what happened to Lynne. Unfortunately, this case remains unsolved. So what do you think about this peculiar occurrence? What do you think about Lynne Kathryn Schulze? What happened to her? I thought it was a bit peculiar. I mean, I don't know anything about that guy's first wife that disappeared in New York, but I thought it was pretty peculiar that her name was Kathryn and Lynne's middle name is Kathryn. But there may not be like any link there. I'm sure if there was, the police would have found it. So yeah, let me know what you think about this down below. And while you're down there, be sure to check out my description box for your peculiar occurrence gear. It's bought straight from Teespring. It's a great little store. As well, don't forget to throw a thumbs up on this and share this out to all your peculiar friends. And if you're new here, subscribe, become one of my peculiar squad, and hit that little bell button so you know when I upload. And until next time, keep your eyes peeled for all things peculiar. Do 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 do.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.